Hey guys, Rob from the Off Grid Tiny House. It's been a while. A lot going on. It's December the, I don't know, 5th, 6th, 10th, something in there. But by the time you guys see these videos online, it'll be later. So there's a whole ton of stuff going on. And I haven't done a walk and talk in forever, so I thought, let's do her tour. So here we are. I'm running out of conspiracy theories because they're all coming true. That's the that should be the title of the video, because all the craziness going on. The Twitter files, if you guys are following that, huge news. You know, the left saying that, oh, we don't censor the right whatsoever. Well, that turns out totally to be a giant, enormous lie. And also, getting rid of the just blowing everybody's rights right out of the water. So all the bombshells are coming out. The right was right from the day one, and the left, who disagreed, was wrong as usual. The patterns just seem to go in that way, guys. So, and that's how it always was. I knew that. It's just a matter of time. When something comes out, just give it time and it'll turn out to be true. It only takes a little bit of time and you'll figure it out. So there you go. The Twitter files are pretty bombshell. I'll get to them first. I got a whole whack of subjects to talk about. So the DNC, the Democratic Party, you know, the demo rats, and the administration, and the FBI colluded together to censor social media, the big guys. And Facebook admitted that. Twitter is exposing that via Elon Musk purchasing Twitter, and it's pretty bombshell. So a political party is taking away your rights to free speech and to basically proper information. And there you go, guys. Now we have a roadway coming up, so I'm going to pause the video. I'll be back. Alrighty, guys, we're back. Getting back to the Twitter files. So the latest and greatest is Elon has fired one of the head lawyers at Twitter. That was a carryover, and that particular lawyer was the FBI lawyer working for the FBI. Oh, collusion, there you go. And then they have all the documents and emails exposing all this directly, so they have all the evidence. The Democrats are guilty as sin. The Democrats even had a vote saying they wanted to all vote and censor this, except for one Democrat who actually had morals. So the rest of them are bankrupt morally, and they're traitors, and they should all be hung, in my opinion. That's treason. What's the penalty going to happen against the DNC and the FBI? Probably not much, because this administration is as evil as they come. It is what it is. But if you think this is just as big as it's going to get, no, it's going to get bigger than this, guys, because it's going to expose how many years has Twitter been in service and how much influence the government and the DNC would have had over that time period. All the emails, all the contacts, all the meetings, that's all going to come out, and it's going to show you exactly what the Democratic Party is all about. They're not pro free speech, they're pro censorship, they're pro abortion, yet they claim to be Catholics. Yeah, that's Christian, Catholic, same deal. It's hilarious. Unbelievable stuff. So like I said, guys, conspiracy theories, we're running out of them because they're all coming true. So everything the left said the right was doing was actually what they were doing. And that's called projection. You can look that term up. And then they get their hack news media, the mainstream media, which isn't really mainstream anymore because it's so trash. Because everybody knows it's propaganda. They just gaslight everybody. You can look that term up and go from there. Now I'm probably going to get a nice warning under this video and under the rest of my videos for this type of content on YouTube, but I don't care because it's the truth, whether the left likes it or not. Now the left has control over YouTube pretty heavily, so they're not going to like the content I'm going to put out on my videos here, and that's a shame, but is what it is. We're dealing with commie tubes, so that's what we're working with. So that's one of the gigantic news stories going on, and it's pretty crazy. So there's going to be a lot more to come. Now, guys, if you really want to follow the latest and greatest, my videos come out way after the fact, after checking everything out and researching on this stuff. So your best bet is to join my survival group channel on Facebook, and it's free to join. I post the greatest and latest videos, content, and bombshells on there on a daily basis. I have quite a few members, and join in. You'll get all the latest and greatest, and that'll all confirm and back up my videos here on YouTube. Just so you guys know, that's your best bet. I have a lot of people who come every day now to the survival group page, check out everything I post, and it's changed a lot of minds and hearts because they're getting their eyes open to what's really going on. And there's a lot of bullshit going on, I'll tell you that. But yeah, just wonderful stuff. So I got another person on the path up here, so I'm gonna chill out on this video, and I'll cut to the next topic and get back to you guys. So we'll see you in a bit. Alrighty guys, we're back. So the next topic I want to cover is China. You guys have probably seen by now all the protesting going on there, all the people fighting back for their freedoms after being locked in hellhole dungeons for how many months now? And by dungeons I mean they're high-rise apartment buildings. Welded shut, locked in, flying drones around. It's insane. Okay. There hasn't been too much coverage lately on the mainstream media. And then we have our doughhead Prime Minister Trudeau get out on propaganda TV here in Canada and say he stands behind the Chinese people protesting. Yet, meanwhile, here in Canada, he basically just screwed the convoy, the Freedom Convoy, protests in Ottawa and Windsor and elsewhere. And the hypocrisy is wild over here. That is how insane the left is, and Trudeau is a leftist and a WEF member, student. Oh God, Freeland is as well. There's a whole whack of them. Half of Trudeau's cabinet, probably more, is WEF, World Economic Forum trash. And these people are traitors, man. I'm telling you what. And to hit the balls for him to say that, just flat out lie, hypocrisy, is unreal. Meanwhile, in other videos, Trudeau's praising the dictator in China. He would love to have that here. He's working on it really hard, I'll tell you that. And we got to deal with this bozo up until 2025, possibly, guys. This is horrendous. Will we survive is the actual question. It's going to be tough. The way everything's being run into the ground by the administrations here and in the US is unreal. Unbelievable stuff. There is a whole crap ton going on, and it's not good, any of it. Other than the Twitter files being released by Elon, that's pretty good. Exposing all the crap that the Democrats are guilty of, that we knew from the start. People shadow banned, people permanently banned from platforms for next to nil. And just because the left doesn't like what they say and they're popular. So they had to get rid of the people on the right because they can't compete with them. And so how they compete? They deplatform them, censor them, blacklist them, all that fun stuff. But it's all going to come out. So the DNC is getting prepared to get their butt sued off royally. Probably going to be class action suits. Or if not class action, it'll be a whole ton of people individually doing suits against them. Including the president, believe it or not, which is going to be hilarious to see. So we'll see what happens on that. So China, I stand behind the people protesting. They're living in a hellhole country. Tyranny supreme over there. Hopefully this opens up everybody's eyes to the craziness. And we don't want any part of it. We don't want the cashless society. We don't want the credit score. We don't want chips. We don't want online banking. Is basically what they want to do is they want the China model, where what you have is a credit score on your phone, and it's an app, and if you do not comply, you get a rating on your profile, basically, and eventually they can stop you from traveling because everything there uses the cell phone app to get you moving, traveling either by train, plane, automobile, whatever, subway, whatever they got over there. And if you've been a bad boy and not following the communist regime, aka the left, nightmare, then they will shut off your app. You're stuck. You can't access your bank account. You can't travel. Similar to what Trudeau did to the convoy protesters over here. And Trudeau was loving it. Now they did do a little hearing on the convoy, and that was a joke because Trudeau put the judge in, a judge that's favorable to him and his party, in to oversee the hearings. But even though they did that, the right here, which is, they're called conservatives over here, but I guess they're conservative in the States too. There's all these different terms, but it's basically left-right. The right's lawyers just took everybody to the woodshed in the hearings, and then you know, Trudeau came in with documents that are all blacked out and not able to present in court because he says so. It's censored. Oh, I wonder what's under that black censorship. You know, the markings they had all over the pages. Kind of hard to do a court case when you're concealing information. So yeah, pathetic. And then they put out these fake polls after the hearing saying, oh, you know, 50 or under half of Canada didn't like the way they handled things. Probably more like 80 to 90%, guys. Remember, this is Propaganda Central putting out these polls. When the local news put out polls on their websites that anybody could poll into, it was a astounding 70-80% said the government effed up royally about handling the convoy, and they did not need the Emergency Act whatsoever. It's called sit down with the public, discuss it, and get a situation solved, not bust out the police, the SWAT gear, and run people over with horses and whatever. So that's what we're dealing with here. It's pretty crazy. So, like I said, nothing's going to come of the hearings. I knew that from the start when they announced them, because who do you think's in control? The left. The left is evil, guys. It's plain and simple. If you support them in any way, you're basically on my shit list, and should be on a lot of people's shit lists because you're insane. It's pretty sad. So anyways, that's it for that. I kind of did a crossover with China and the convoy situation, but it all ties in together, big picture wise. So I will be back in a bit for the next topic. Wow, my hands are freezing. So anyways, is what it is. I'm gonna have to do that. So the next topic, there was a situation, I think it was either North or South Carolina in the US, where a few people with rifles disabled the electrical grid via some sort of attack. They attacked a substation and just shot rifle shells into obviously the transformers there and other equipment, and they had a 70-mile radius blackout. Now, it's pretty crazy, guys. What's that about? Well, there's heavy investigations going on, but there was something similar talked about like a decade ago. About people could do that. They could shoot the little gray boxes, which I'm actually coming up on, that are full of an oil that keeps the temperature down of the transformer equipment. So this is, see that gray box up there on the electrical line? They pop a hole into that. The liquid runs out, which means it would run dry, that unit there, and then it would overheat and short out. So it's similar to that, but popping one of those would only take out a block or so. So they go for the substation, which takes out a bigger area, because that feeds these little gray guys over here that then go to your house. So this is some serious shit. There's some serious mischief going on. Was this a trial run for a bigger attack? Possibly. We're not on good terms with Russia or China right now, or North Korea, and a couple guys with some rifles and some shells did a whole ton of damage to that substation. Okay? Can they repair it easily? I have no idea. There hasn't been any updates, and since it's an ongoing investigation, they're not telling the public a whole lot. So everybody's here is in spectate mode until they figure it out. So it's pretty wild, guys, I'll tell you that. By the way, I'm off of work for a while because it's this time of year. We're getting close to Christmas holiday time. So, but that's usual for me every year, so nothing to worry about. That's why I'm out walking and not at work at the moment. But I have another big job in a couple weeks, so no need to fret. I'm doing well. So anyways, it's pretty wild. Now, this attack is something else because, like I said, is this a trial run for a bigger attack or a nationwide attack? Very possible. Or key areas, key infrastructure areas taken out. And then the middle of winter, guys, the hydro goes out and could be out for weeks, especially when you're attacking a substation, because those transformers in there aren't just sitting around on a warehouse somewhere. Mostly have to be ordered out of China, and with all the protesting, lockdowns, and ongoing nonsense over there, that leads to shortages, which we're still experiencing to this day. Especially for my work, I've been waiting on parts for over 2 weeks, and that's a little insane. I've never had that ever in my career. Thanks leftists, thanks liberals, thanks communism, because that's where it's coming from. So this is what we're dealing with. Pretty sick. So be on the lookout, guys. Do you have a generator? Do you have backup heat, backup fuel? And this is going to lead me into my next topic. So we'll see how it goes. And I'll just keep on going. My next topic here is Europe. The UK. My buddy Stu, which I haven't been in contact with for quite a while, has told me, and basically posts to his feed that I just pick up, and I get a bunch of other feeds as well through my news sources. The UK and a lot of Europe has hellish utility bills, and I mean the kind of bills where you're gonna be skipping meals just to afford a warm place to sleep, but you're starving to death. There's videos online of people monitoring their usage and how much they will owe, and they're going through like $60 to $100 a week just to have the very bare minimum of heat, and I mean like freezing in your own house, but just enough heat to keep the pipes from bursting, the water pipes that is, as a maintenance thing. So there's a lot of people showing this online. You guys can go search this up if you don't believe me. People are trying to figure out what they can do. Now, I know Stu was ahead of the curve, and he had his paraffin heaters. He has these portable units, and he'd just buy the liquid fuel for them and use those, as opposed to using his sources from the utility, like natural gas, electric, whatever. Okay, so our friends over in Europe and the UK are hurting badly, This is going to harm a lot of people over there, guys. It's not good. And this is the big Great Reset green agenda, because, oh yeah, global warming, we got to worry about that. So let's jack up everybody's utility bills, because that's going to solve the weather. That's right, guys. They think by doing so, that's going to really solve the weather situation. Yeah, and I'm the Pope. Okay? That's about how dumb their programs are. Now, remember, guys, they're blaming this all on Russia and the war going on, the proxy war. But we'll get into that later. It's really not that. It contributes to it, but it's not the main factor. You know, we got people blowing up the Nord Stream pipelines, cutting off major utility gas supplies to Europe. We have all kinds of mischief going on, and it's not good. So, and remember, guys, they just lost the Queen. They now have a king in power, and what's he doing to solve the problem? Oh, nothing. He's actually pushing for it, and you can tell because you don't hear a peep out of him on how to get shit done. Okay? So they don't give a shit about the commoners. They're just worried about their next PR stunt or whatever, or this Meghan Markle, Harry garbage that they're going to push on Netflix. You know, it's a big bread and circus sideshow when people are freezing to death in their houses this winter. They can't afford their utility bills, and most people are going broke, homeless. Their health is going to deteriorate. They don't have enough money as is, and they didn't prep. They thought preppers were nuts, but now they're going to live it, and then they're going to think, oh boy, what was I thinking back then? So at least Stu, I think, will be okay. He needs it a little warmer for himself because of his health issues. I don't know how in God's earth he's going to pay that electric bill, because he has quite a beefy computer setup, but is what it is. It's horrendous, and if we don't change course, if we don't get a government in that is normal and is not pushing this crap, then we're all going to go into the ground. Like over here in Canada and the US, we're all getting pushed right into the ground, and everybody's going to be bankrupt in a few years after everybody's terms. And it's going to take a long time to recover from this because of all the damage they're causing. So it's not good. Not good at all. And I feel bad for the guys, everybody over in Europe with all the nonsense going on. It's pretty insane. So guys, think of alternative ways to heat your house on a budget. There's plenty. If you have access to a computer and a little bit of pocket change, maybe you can come up with something. But like I said, wood stoves, all that fun stuff. I was working on a project where I would take a couple radiators, a small little pump, and an electric hot water tank, a small one, and I would turn that into like a electric boiler system, basically. Now, obviously, guys, electric is expensive, but the nice thing about it is it's like 100% efficient, and because it's a closed loop system where there's actually no cold water going back into that setup once it's up and running, the electric heater, whether it be a 20-gallon tank, a 40, whatever, once it's up to temperature, it'll very seldom kick on. The only thing that's going to be running is a small little pump circulating the hot water through the rads, at least two, and then back to the tank as a feed. So it's a closed loop. There's no cold water coming in I'm not sure how well it will work, but I'm saving up to maybe buy the parts and do a little demo of that. And you know, if you can't have a wood stove, that would be the next best thing. Obviously you're gonna have to spend some money. 2 rads will cost you about $1,000 over here anyways. And then you're gonna have to buy a little pump for $20 or whatever, a bunch of plumbing fittings, throw another $200 in plumbing fittings on and PEX, and then the tank itself will be around $1,000 or so. So you're looking at, I don't know, throw $2,000 at it. You'll be well, actually more than $2,000. Be like, with the prices of everything going on, be like $2,200, $2,300, $2,500, and you might be able to heat an area. Now, obviously, where your rads are, you don't have to put 2 in a room. Obviously, you can spread those out, but you're gonna have more plumbing fittings and holes going through stuff and whatever, but it is what it is. Something I'm interested in for off-grid anyways. So I came up with that little setup. Hopefully it would work if you're not a fan of wood stoves. I'm a fan of wood stoves though. And I guess the people in the UK could buy those little tent stoves online, as long as they're very careful. Shoot the stack out a window and just use little chunks of wood to get by. I think that's all they can really do. I think a lot of people are doing that too. So it's pretty shameful. The government's got everybody bent over a barrel. They're killing us, guys. As they kill us slowly, these companies are taking huge profits in from common man for ridiculous ideas like global warming. Oh my God. I say bring on the global warming, but there isn't any, because then I could be walking around in shorts year round. But guess what? I'm in long pants, my hands are freezing, I'm in an insulated coat, and it's crappy out. We don't have any snow on the ground, but it's sure damn cold here, I'll tell you that. So it is what it is. So anyways, that's just horrendous. I hope Stu can hang in there, his mom as well. I know they're on the edge already, financial wise, and it's only gonna get worse, guys. Keep voting in crap government, you're gonna keep getting crap. And people don't seem to figure that out. So, is what it is. We will see you on the next one for another topic. Alrighty guys, so I can't find the piece of paper that I had my topics written on right now. It's in one of these pockets buried, but I'm not stopping walking. Not gonna happen. Sorry about the crappy angles. Just checking my side pockets right now, but anyways. There's a whole lot going on, guys. How do you guys like the prices of everything? Now, I've covered this multiple times in videos, and you know, if you think the government, the administration's doing a great job right now, but you're complaining about the price of everything, better get your head checked, okay? Wrong people in office, wrong people in power, tripling. Over here in Canada, we're getting triple taxed to kill us. We're getting a carbon tax. We're getting well, basically the carbon tax, the what is it, the income tax, and something else is being basically we're getting taxed 3 times. It's insanity. We have to struggle and live with it right now. And, you know, we have inflation still on the rise. So, Canada and the US are planning to continue to raise interest rates to rein that in, though that will also slow the economy down. The housing market's already in a financial bust over here. I'm waiting for a full collapse where the housing market will fall so much that the prices will get back to normal, and then I can purchase a property for my off-grid setup. Now, when will this happen? I don't know. Will it take a year or two? Possibly. In the meantime, I'm working and saving up, and with all my experience from the tiny house, I can tune everything in a lot better than what I had and get that going. I do want to try the electric rad system that I was talking about in a previous video, and I had kind of mock-up drawings on my channel here you can check out. And I'm also going to have a wood stove just in case. The barrel stove, I'm going to build one of those again. Fantastic. Best fireplace ever. Now, the reality is with that, guys, here in Canada, and probably a lot of places, even in the States I hear about it, the government and the insurance companies do not want you using wood stoves because the insurance company will charge you so much a month that'll make it unaffordable for you. So my plan is to not have house insurance, and so the reasoning behind that is they're just going to price me out because I have a wood stove, and especially one that's a barrel stove. They're not really certified anyways by the government, and even if they were, they're still going to charge you out the wazoo, and you have to get an annual inspection and all that nonsense. So my workaround is to the room that the barrel stove would go is going to have to be fireproof by myself. I'm talking walls, floor, and ceiling in cement board panels, probably at least 2 layers each, just in case there's some kind of incident where something goes wrong with the barrel stove. And then obviously I'd also have the safety flare units that I showed on the Off-Grid Tiny House channel many moons ago. In case of an emergency, you light this flare up, throw it in your barrel stove, shut the door, and it will snuff out and starve the entire unit of oxygen. Probably don't want to be in the house when that happens. You'll probably want to go outside with the doors open, windows open after a while too, in case you have a chimney fire or some kind of accident with the wood stove. Now, I've gotten pretty damn good at using a barrel wood stove over at the tiny house, so I kind of know the ins and outs, and I gotten so good that I never have to do a chimney sweep because the way I run it is pretty simple, guys. At the beginning, when you first start up your barrel stove, you run it hot, 400 Fahrenheit plus, for about 20 minutes. Then you shut the door, you damp it down a little bit. It'll creep back to the good zone, the heating zone, like 250, 300 in that area, and then you're good to go. And what that does, first, it basically burns and cleans out your chimney pipe, your stack, because of the heat very well, so creosote can't build up, and it starts your fire very fast and very well at the same time. Then, after, like I said, after you're done damping it down, whatever, what I would do is I'd load the fire before bed, and then I'd damp it down for the night, all the way closed, shut the air supply. it would run throughout the night, slow burn. Now when you do that, you do create some creosote in the pipe. But next time in the morning, when you go to light up the barrel stove, you just repeat what I did the first time. You leave the door open, you burn it hot. Anything that did accumulate overnight is now gone. So I did that for a year at the tiny house, and I had very, very little accumulation in the chimney stack. When I inspected it, it was next to nothing. Very safe. So obviously it worked. And that's what you want to look at. So I basically just have to build a structure around the barrel stove to ensure, in case, God forbid, a pipe comes undone of this flue stack or something of the sort happens, that if flames do come out of an area of the stove that we don't want it to, that it won't be devastating and burning down the house, because there'll be cement walls, cement floor, cement ceiling. I know it's going to cost a lot of money, but long run, you won't have insurance. My hands look pretty friggin' red now, guys. Anyways, getting back to the off-grid setup that I'm talking about. They now have mini splits, aka heat pumps, that can be run directly off solar panels without batteries, without an inverter. That is my new plan for the off-grid tiny house. You can do a string of 3 to 4 or more in series, connect them directly to your mini split, and as long as there's enough sun out hitting your panels, you will have free air conditioning or free heat. Now the heat part in here in Canada is suspect because they only work down to a certain temperature, like -20, -25, something like that. But with the weather we have today, you could get away with free heat. So that is a great option, because that'll eliminate me having a super large solar setup just to do an air conditioner. And that's where most of your power would go. That'd be one of your biggest loads. So that's great. So I could buy a string of 4 bifacial LG panels, throw them in series, wire them directly into this mini split, and have unlimited free air conditioning, free heat, as long as I'm getting enough sun. So daytime hours, right? At nighttime, you have to just deal with it with fans and such. It is what it is. Now I'm gonna have to pause the camera. We got somebody up here. So back to the off-grid talk here, guys, for my plans, my setup. So air conditioning and a little bit of heat is covered with this new setup. Now there's all kinds of different brands that allow you to wire in direct. I'm gonna definitely look into that. Probably gonna be around $3 grand or so for just the unit and the head and all that stuff. But then you gotta add on 4 strings of, or 1 string of 4 bifacial LG panels. That gives you at least 100 volts DC, which is pretty crazy that they've come so efficient, because they use a DC compressor. They're getting stuff down to a science now, so they're making it where it's very doable. So that's one situation covered. Now I'd also, if the RAD system with the electric, but what I'm thinking for the electric hot water tank is just a 120 volt model either a 20-gallon or a 40-gallon tank, if they even make that in 120 volts. I think only the 20-gallon would be 120 volts myself, so might be stuck with that. But the nice thing about that is you're going to be making it efficient by the way you're going to use it. You're not using it as something to heat water for your bathing and stuff. You're going to use it to move heat around. Oh, hold on. All right, we're back, guys. Had to make a quick bathroom break. TML, I know, or TMI. TML. Anyways, getting back to the off-grid solar talk here. So mini split air conditioning is now doable with a 4-string minimum of LG bifacial panels. That's covered. I went over the insurance, not having any. As long as I spend the money up front to basically fireproof the room as best as I can to mitigate any future surprises. And getting back to the electric rad system. Now, obviously, if I have a wood stove or a barrel stove, same thing, that will easily heat the place, no issues. But as a backup, electrical backup, via run off of solar, I think that would be a good option in case you run out of firewood or you're sickly and you can't cut firewood or whatever, some reason you can't get up to maintain the barrel stove. You want to have some comfortable heat. I'll be back in a minute. There we go. Sorry about that. So basically take 2 rads, basically the same type of rads you'd use in a boiler system. You're making a closed loop with a 20-gallon, 120-volt, small electric hot water tank. You'll have a little small circulation pump, inline, closed loop system. And as the tank heats up with water, once it's full and hits temperature, obviously the element will shut off. And the little pump will continuously run, basically 24/7, to move the heated water around the loop through 2 rads and then back to the tank. So that you're not introducing any cold water to the system, but the rads will basically use the heat energy produced by the element in the water and use the heat that is in the water to put that into the air via the rads and radiate it into the space. And you can move these rads wherever. You can have, a couple in a room, or spread them out, however your building's set up, or add more than 2, of course. Now, I won't know if it works until I do it, but if it does work, that's pretty sweet. Because before the sun goes down, you could jack up the heat on the tank as high as you can, well, within reason, before the sun goes down, just as a maintenance thing. And then your battery bank will run the it'll run the system via the circulation pump throughout the night, 24/7, And that should be that. Now, obviously, you're going to need, during the daytime hours, you'll be able to run this. 120 volt off an inverter, and the inverter is going to have to be a pure sine wave that can handle, like, I'm assuming 3,000 to 4,000 watts pure sine wave. And the nice thing about that is the inverter is going to give off some heat as it runs on a high load 120 volt appliance. Once the water temperature in the 20-gallon tank is reached, it will shut itself off via its own thermostat built in. And the circ pump's going to run nonstop, and it's going to draw like piddly squat, so you don't even have to worry about that. But you'd have to put the 120 volt tank on a dawn till dusk timer. That way it doesn't run during the night and drain your batteries down. Other than that, those are your major loads. Now, obviously, you're going to want a refrigerator slash freezer of some kind. That can be run off 120 volts, no issues. Will they run at the same time on the inverter? I doubt it, because the startup for the compressors for some of this equipment is pretty huge in the amp range. So yeah. The problem now is 24 volt solar refrigerators are about, well, I don't know if they're close, but they're getting closer to the price of your average conventional 120 volt fridge. So that is where we have to go in to the situation. Should I go with 24 volts as opposed to 12 volts? And I think 24 is decent. I know everybody wants 48 volts. Do you know how much 48 volt batteries cost that are lithium? If you do, I don't think you'll see a return on investment unless you're a lottery winner, and then you don't have to worry about money. So 24 volt setup to run a high load at startup refrigerator and conventional for refrigerator, and then obviously the electric electric hot water tank for the rads. Now the bonus about this part is the air conditioning slash heat is on a separate setup on its own panels and will have no effect on your inverter or batteries whatsoever. It's a single entity on its own setup, which I love. That's great. So you don't have to have a monster battery bank to deal with that. And let's say in the winter time, your refrigerator shouldn't be on too much, cycling too much, unless you keep your house at pretty high temperatures. I like my temps a little cooler, 75, whatever. That's pretty nice, pretty comfortable. If you can get that, maintain that. But anyways, in the summertime, you're never going to use your rad hot water tank rad setup whatsoever. There's no use for it, so that eliminates that in the summertime. You'd only use it in the wintertime months, and you'd only use it if you run out of firewood for your barrel stove or whatever the case is. But it's nice to have a little backup to get you by. So I kind of like that idea of getting everything kind of you basically, when you're off the grid, guys, you're the utility company. You got to control everything. So, pretty sweet. Other than that, you can buy 12-volt TVs all day long. At the tiny house, I ran a 12-volt TV. I could run it 24/7, no issues. Wouldn't even tickle the battery overnight. Same with the ceiling fans and the lights. Wouldn't even tickle the batteries overnight. So with a 24-volt setup, you could get away with a lot. Now I'd have to buy like a DC-DC converter to convert down to, 12 volts for a TV, or just buy a conventional TV and pray it doesn't suck up a lot of juice on the inverter or battery. You can experiment both ways, depending on the size and all the features and whatever. And then for internet, guys, we know Starlink is your option, and that's going to work great. And rumor has it, Elon's working on a cell phone that's going to use the Starlink capabilities. So that would mean you'd have unlimited Starlink internet on a cell phone, which means unlimited internet on cell phone while you're moving. Because if you basically, I think how it's going to work is, if you're a Starlink customer, you have your dish at home, but you'll have the ability to buy their phone, and also through that same contract have hopefully under that same contract use it, because they're quite expensive here in Canada. It's like $140 a month for unlimited for a Starlink, because I had one at the tiny house. If you use that, you'll have internet everywhere you go, which is awesome. And I'm sure they'll have it in their vehicles as well, the Teslas, at some point. So you'll be all around Elon Musk making all the money in the world here. Cell phone, vehicles, internet, everything else as he goes. So he's doing a good job at making money, that's for sure. Very smart guy. Awesome. But anyways, we'll see how that goes. It's going to be wild. So I'll be back in a bit. Alrighty guys, there we go, back again. So as for water off the grid, I'm gonna have to do some kind of rain catchment plan or truck water in via a company just to fill up a giant tank and then live off that till it rains again, type of thing. That's probably the goals for the off-grid deal. So a 24-volt setup with a separate cooling mini split setup. At that point, you just buy a pallet of LG panels, because you're gonna use 4 in a string already, just for the solar, just for the DC direct mini split. And you can put more than 4 in series, I'm sure. That's just a minimum. And then use the rest on your house. So you buy a 10-pack of a pallet of the LG bifacial panels. You buy them in bulk like that to save money, and then the leftovers is you use on your solar setup at your place. And I do want to buy one of these all-in-one inverters, but I'm still not convinced on some of these brands. I know MPP is good, the brand, but there's a lot of clones and knockoffs. And getting back to the no insurance, when I build a electrical room for said solar equipment, I'm also going to have to use cement board in there in case of crappy Chinese parts or equipment that fails. Because if it fails, normally that turns into a fire of some sort and then major issues. So fuses, switches are a must, definitely. And it is what it is. But having the unit hung on a cement wall with a cement ceiling board and cement floor, just like in the fireplace room, you'd have to make it a fireproof room or mitigate it so, you know, if there is a fire, it'll burn and then go out and not take the house with it. That's what I'm looking at, because insurance, house insurance, is pretty expensive here in Canada. It's about $4 grand a year. That's expensive. That's, yeah, $4 grand a year savings just off the bat. And those prices are only going to go up as time goes, just like everything else that's gone up. So, you know, you gotta shop around, basically. Be back. Alright guys, so content wise here on YouTube's been pretty lackluster from my channel. What I want to do is finally get into some aquaponics and get my feet wet in that and get some experience under my belt. So 1 Acre Homestead Mike gifted me his fish tank a while ago. Quite a while ago, he had his aquaponics setup going, and it was working pretty well. So I'm going to try to do my own and go from there. Now, in the move, the tiny house move, I lost a few pieces of equipment that kind of pissed me off. So I lost a couple air pumps for the aquarium, and I also lost a couple circulation pumps. So I'm gonna have to spend a little money to order those parts. I do have the fake aquarium plant life. I do have some ceramic beads for the bottom of the tank. And what else do I have? I have the heater. I have the clay pebbles for the aquaponic grow medium, and I lost the fish tank light as well. Now I'm not quite sure if an aquarium requires a light anyways. I don't see the benefit of that, and the kind of light I'm talking about is not one that's like an ultraviolet that cleans the water. I'm just talking about a light for the fish, or like a display light, so you look at the tank and it's not pitch dark. But whatever, we can come up with something if it does need it, LEDs or whatever. Be back. But anyways, that was 3 miles, guys, and I'm just on the tail end now. And I really got my circulation going. My hands feel nice now, so that's great. So I'm going to experiment with aquaponics at the house until such time as I can afford land to purchase and get the hell off the grid finally. I can't just move out into the boonies and start living off the grid, because I have a job to do and maintain, obviously, for an income. So until such time, I have to move just outside of the city enough where the city doesn't bother me and I can do my off-grid stuff without any BS, basically. So in the meantime, gonna get my feet wet into some aquaponics. I gave the fish tank a wash from Mike at 1 Acre Homestead. I'm slowly gathering the materials, and I will be getting the fish at the very last point, because I have to do it proper. Don't want to kill the critters, and go from there. And I'm gonna buy like the smallest friggin' fish going, a school of them, like tiny fish, and go and try that. Goldfish are, you know, I don't think it's gonna work for goldfish myself, unless they're like super tiny goldfish or something. But goldfish need a lot of water, more than 10 gallons, like 30-40 gallon tanks to thrive. So we'll see how this works. And I have the pH meter and everything else, so we'll see how it goes. But that's the future plans for now. I'll give you more update videos as more breaking news happens. Remember, guys, get on Facebook, join my survival group page, and that's where I post the latest and greatest of what's going on in this crazy world. See you on the next one.